Welcome back to DM-Nastics, the gym for dungeon masters to work out their minds. I'm one of your hosts, DM Neal, aka Jote Maniac.
And I'm your other host, Celeste Conowitch, aka DM Sea Witch.
Whoa!
Whoa!
I'm impressed every time you get it right.
Yep. I've had a lot of coffee today. We're on it.
Yay! And today we're going to tie back to episode number 181, Noir Gaming, which featured AP Koloski. And that spurred on Rourke and I to make DM-Nastics number 150, Where Shadows Have Shadows. There's nothing really behind
There's nothing. No, that's fine.
Except maybe more shadows.
It's so dark and mysterious.
Ooh.
I'm afraid.
What did we do for this one?
So in this episode, we asked you all to go ahead and make a noir-inspired city in the world of Dambe. So we went ahead and threw out some questions for you about creating this city. So, number 1, what is the city called? Number 2, what influential groups control the city? Number 3, what attracts people to the city? Number 4, what locations in the city could be reoccurring elements? 5, what cultural quirks does the city have? And 6, of course, you do you. So, Neal, do you want to tell me about your top pick from the forums?
I do indeed, and I picked the one from Telemachus.
Ooh.
And first, of course, we have to talk about their avatar.
Yes,
photo,
of course.
Which,
of course.
on first glance, is a wonderful kind of gemstone-looking D20.
Mm-hmm.
Upon second glance, there is a human hand underneath it, and it basically looks larger than a basketball.
Yeah, this is like some beach ball size D20. I'm trying to look at the background here. It looks like somewhere like nice out in nature. Maybe
Yeah.
this person is holding this giant D20.
Yes. So I don't know. Well, we'll just stop there. I don't know. But Telemachus, please tell us more about this giant D20. And they told us more about the Night Cliffs.
Ooh.
So essentially, it's a cliff that's only a meter apart at the top and then just goes like 2 miles down to a ravine on the bottom.
Ooh.
So basically, it's this city built inside of these very close cliff faces.
Cool.
And so you have everything that goes on at the top because it's kind of just this central location in the world where everyone is going to pass through and over. And you have to pay a price to pass through because the city has set up a way for you to do that. Same way, as you pass through underneath, you're using the ravine as a way to get from point A to point B. Again, everything's above board. Mm-hmm. What's really interesting, because you think of air quote, the seedy underbelly or things like that with noir gaming, but it's the middle because it's the farthest away from these two places that are functioning as you would or above board. So the farther you get away from the top or the bottom, it gets darker and darker.
Oh.
Literally and figuratively.
Wow.
So it's just a really cool way to add in something that has a lot of different aspects that the players could interact with it and then kind of fall into this seedier noir-like system. So yeah, the Night Cliffs, terrifying.
Yeah. So it's super, super cool. I love that there are 2 different gangs that rule over the city, one on the east side and one on the west side, and basically extort people who need to travel up and down, but since they're in that middle point. So if you're trying to raise up or get down, the Winch gang and oh my gosh, there's even accent suggestions, which is fabulous. The East gang is a crew of kobolds with Brooklyn accents. Oh my god. And the West Gang is a crew of goblins who talk like wise guys. And everyone knows them as the Gob Mob.
Oh, of course they do.
Oh no, it hurts, but in a good way.
Oh, that's so good.
Wow. That's super awesome.
Yeah, and a couple other things that they added was Chespin Druss's workshop, a gnomish tinkerer who lives in a wheelchair of his own inventing, which I think is an awesome way.
That's a cool power move.
Yeah, just adding it in. And the Gleaming Facet Inn, which is a dwarvish inn that is neutral territory by the various gangs, which I would totally have, like the John Wick movies, the Continental, but it's run by dwarves.
Oh, yeah. It's totally like your old-timey, like speakeasy where everyone would go and just talk, you know? Yep. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Love it.
And they added a cultural quirk that there is a drug issue of dragon blood, and its use is a growing issue as the long-term effects and the drug's origin are unknown.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
I mean, there's a plot hook right there.
Oh yeah, and then I mean you could get into like if there's different varieties, like based on dragon colors. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot going. There's basically a campaign in there.
Yeah, because it says users are easily identified by fire gleaming behind their pupils. But you could change that, like, okay, so I'm using blue dragon blood, and then you almost see like lightning behind.
Whoa, yeah, that'd be cool. Cool as heck. Great job.
So yes, thank you, Telemachus. But Celeste, which one did you pick?
Yes, so I wanted to pick the entry from DM Thad, who says that they've been listening to the Block Party podcast for a few months, but this is their first time actually lifting the mental weight. So congratulations and thank you for posting. So I wanted to talk about their city suggestion, which was Meyer Village, which already... love the name, very spooky. And so essentially the city itself is controlled by a lich, but the lich doesn't like make it known that they operate. So the village has its own like government and everything here, but the lich is definitely the one like pulling all of the strings behind the scenes. And so Meyer Village, it has inns, it has taverns, like to attract a normal crowd, but it also has this the miasma swamp just beyond the city limits. And I love that there's this legend that's thrown in here that whenever the spell Cloud Kill is cast, the noxious gas summoned by the caster actually originates from this swamp, which I just thought was like a really cool like arcane connection here.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about Meyer Village is, for those in the know, this is the best place you need to go and buy all the supplies to do the ritual to become a lich, is the thing. So, like, that is what the black market specializes in. So it's, like, human hearts and arsenic, and, like, they even have people who can help, like, counsel or support you on your path to become a lich, which I was like... this is amazing. Like the idea that this is what this place is here for. Yeah. And so like when people come to stay and, you know, they're in the villages and the inns, sometimes people just get poisoned and they disappear and they like, so there's this whole like underground like harvesting of the people who stop by Meyer Village to feed this black market, which I just think is like so awesome. There's so many hooks like already built in there for a campaign. It's, yeah. Or,
like, it's such a cool way to start out an evil campaign, because it could be just basically, I mean, like a class.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's kind of going to lich school,
lich
if you will.
School, to become a lich.
Like convention, seminar, whatever word you want to use. And it's the party working together to try and become liches.
Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. I love it. I also love that they added in a cultural quirk here. So the primary quirk of this town is also a practical one. When doing business, the people of the town never look anyone in the eye. So if somebody looks you in the eye when you're speaking to them, you know that they're an outsider or they're not on the level, or they might be associated with the guard. So if you're looking to get business done the right way, you know not to look people in the eye, which I just thought was like a cool little, you know, thieves check-in almost moment.
Yeah,
when
that's
making
awesome.
deals.
Well, the other is the you do you, where they added that there's a lot of heavy illusion magic because you have this lich who is running everything. So there's all these kind of legends that maybe the town doesn't exist. And I mean, you could have a huge string of things because what someone saw last time isn't what they saw next time, or what someone saw next to you maybe isn't what they saw, because the other idea is maybe it's illusion, but the other thing is glamour.
Yeah.
So you're seeing what the best version that you want to see. There's a lot of fun stuff with that.
Yeah, and I mean, if your friend goes missing one night after drinking something at the tavern and you try to, like, find where they are, but you can't really remember, like, exactly where the town was or this tavern was, like, it's just, you know, built-in alibis right there.
They took too much dragon's blood. That's the problem.
No, it's all connected. So, yeah, thank you, DM Thad, for chiming in. This is an awesome post.
Yeah.
Meyer Village.
And someone please make a lich convention
please.
shot. Yes.
That would be the worst convention to go to. So many like emo kids, goth kids just sitting around like
please and thank you.
Yes.
Just random people trying to steal your heart.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally.
Yes. Awesome.
The weakest do not survive.
No, not even a little. But with that, I say it's time to lift the mental weights right now.
Lifting weights is what I do. Look at me. Lift these weights.
What are we going to do?
What are we gonna do? Well, you know what I would really like to see is something that sort of has like a Blade Runner vibe. So it's like inspired by like the plane of Mechanus, or perhaps like this is a place where Mechanus touches down like on the material world. Because I really just want to see Modrons walking around in like trench coats and like solving mysteries and like
What?
the idea of that is so awesome in my head. That's all I've got, but like I just want to see it. And
Okay.
like private eye hats and oh my gosh. Yes.
They flip their little hat back like, we got to get out of here.
We gotta get out of here.
Okay, I'm in.
Okay.
So part of that is going to require that we go away from what traditionally Modrons are like.
Yes.
Which is fine. So then my question is, Mechanus has touched this place. Who else has touched this town to send things off down that crazy road?
Yeah, well, I would like to imagine maybe if there are Modrons who, you know, they don't want to be part of that collective anymore in Mechanus, you know, they're tired of serving this specific function. And maybe if they were given like some kind of their own sentience or like willpower, this is the place that Modrons could go after, you know, leaving that behind in Mechanus. So perhaps there's some kind of like ruling artificer who's like given this kind of independence to Modrons and allowed them to like live in this city and make their own like fortunes.
Okay, I like it. Yeah.
Or maybe it's like a warforged artificer who's like, I'm freeing my kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love the idea of a whole city of constructs. I guess I just really like robots.
Yes.
And when I think noir, I totally think like Blade Runner robots.
Yes.
But with magic. It's amazing.
So what I looked up was the name of very famous computer viruses. So
Ooh.
let's call the town Stuxnet, as it was one of the scariest viruses ever made because it was built by government engineers in the US.
Website learning.
With the intention of obstructing nukes from being built in Iran.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yep. So we have Stuxnet, and I also like the idea of it being something that this Warforged has built that can liberate, air quote, aka infect other Warforged or Modrons or basically anything that kind of has a mechanical component.
Yeah,
to
like
it.
any construct, kind of giving it its own sentience. Oh, I love that. Yeah, so it like gives that magical like virus or whatever to free these creations and then give them a city in which to live. Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's basically a city constructed for, by, and containing constructs.
Yes. Okay, and then what makes it like scary or noir? Like what? Imagine interacting with how would they interact with like purely biological life forms?
I think one of the things that they're constantly trying to do is figure out how to liberate other creatures than just constructs. So they're trying to infect them with this virus and bring them like into the fold.
Cool.
And so then some people do it willingly because they put mechanical components into themselves.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Oh, and that could be the seedier way that this happens is that they're willing to freely help people. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, you're sick. Well, we can help you with that. Or you've lost a limb and we can replace it. You've done all these things, and people that they see fit to do so, they'll actually like basically incorporate them into the town.
Whoa, yes. And maybe the people don't know. Like, that's the deal they're signing up for.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, people with, mechanical limbs and stuff, like, just feel this urge to go to the city as they've, like, had this virus downloaded. Oh, very cool.
And so what attracts people to the city, it could be both being infected or the things that people can gain.
Yes.
Because it could be something it definitely feels like something where they're more technologically advanced than other areas in the world because they're always striving to that next step and maybe foregoing the idea of what's the cost of getting there.
Very cool. Super into it. Would love to play there.
Right after we get home from the Lich Convention.
If we ever get Ooh, we could go to the Lich Convention and then go get our mechanical hearts in this city.
We could get a phylactery that protects itself.
Ah, there's so many options. The world is just expanding before our eyes.
So what locations in the city could be recurring elements?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea. There could be some kind of like hospital or like workshop space, where they do these implants. But I also really like there also being like a junkyard feel to it, or space. Yeah. Like it's just like all these extra components that they have that they're always trying to like recycle or reintegrate. It's sort of like a chop shop meets like bargain discount.
Yeah.
Place.
So Walmart. Got it.
Walmart. Yes, it's fantasy Walmart.
Done. What cultural quirks does the city have?
Oh man, I mean, imagine a place built by constructs.
I don't know if I like it. But I was also thinking that because it's built by constructs, if the city itself changes on a regular basis, like things move, and maybe that going back to the idea that if you're in the know or if you're liberated, you're still aware of those changes somehow because you're, if you will, kind of a part of the city.
Yeah.
But then, so you would, let's say I am, you aren't. And we're like, okay, well, we're going to go to this restaurant we ate at last week. And I'm like, okay. And then I turn left and you're like, it's right over here.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not. And then we go left and you're like, what? And then I just like wave my mechanical arm. I don't know, but the idea that having a piece of the city ties you to it in this way where you're always kind of aware of where things are.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's also to kind of connect to that. Maybe there's no sense of like individual ownership. So it's like people don't have like a house that they own. There are these like larger buildings and places that people like cohabitate and, because it's impractical to divide land up into tiny little parcels that a person owns. So I can definitely imagine constructs being like, what is that? Or the sense of like money, like even just capitalism in general, I don't think would make any sense to robots who like aren't, they aren't into competition or that doesn't make sense to them. So that could be a big like cultural, it's all about, a bargain system. And
I like that. And culturally, you would almost have like a storage unit. Mm-hmm. Like that's yours and that's where you can keep your things. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of it. Like you don't really, other than that, like, you don't have a home. You don't have a place that you sleep regularly.
Yeah, because I mean, also like in the city, I mean, there wouldn't be any crime. Again, like when you're thinking about like highly rational beings. So it's like,
But that's the thing. I don't want that to be true. I want it to be like a ton of weird crimes because they've been infected and liberated by this virus. That's the whole thing. Like it works because they've been messed up.
Yeah. Interesting. I just really want my Modrons in like little trench coats.
That's what I mean. Because
they're weird.
Because they've got the virus. They're doing all these crazy things.
Yeah. Developing new program and personalities and cool. Into it.
Okay.
Anything else? I think that's the last thing. You do you?
You do you.
What about this Warforged? What do we know about them? This Warforged artificer that rules over the city. Or started the city. I don't think they really...
I guess I like that. Like, they're just a normal person.
Yeah.
I love the idea that, like, if you happen to know them, you happen to know them. And if you happen to have interacted with them, you happen to have done so. Yeah. Like, they're just a normal NPC status individual.
Yep. They're just living their lives, like, enjoying the company of the Modrons and the constructs. And
just living a normal life of, like, everyone else.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good.
Just happy as can be, like,
Oh, yeah.
in this. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it.
And like maybe going back home, back not even to home, but like to work, if you will, and maybe trying to constantly update the programming for the virus,
Yeah.
and just a normal everyday event.
I really want their name to be Warden.
Yes.
So, like, Warden just takes care,
Yeah.
loves his constructs. And
And what happens, happens. Yeah.
Yep. I love it. I want to
Done.
live there.
Okay. So, if you love what you heard, you
Yes.
should go follow us on Twitter
Do it.
at DM-Nastics. And of course, if you want to follow me, you can do so at Joke Maniac, Jack of all trades, Master of none, IAC. Where could they follow you?
If you want to follow me, check me out on Twitter at CConowitch.
And you should go over to the Patreon because we are releasing another flashback episode. For Silver Dragons and Up. It's just us talking about an old episode because we felt like we wanted to talk more about it. Flashback.
Yay!
But we're going to head over to the post-workout cooldown and stretch with the light bulb.
Light bulb.
This one's super fast. It's literally just something I did recently. I have to have mentioned it before, but because I did it again, I feel like mentioning it again.
What is it? Tell us, Neal.
Go on to eBay, type in the word Mage Knight, and get yourself some super cheap minis.
Mage Knight.
So it's a WizKids game that was around for a while. It was like in the Hero Clicks era, where basically my characters would go up against your characters. We would roll some dice, and basically you have their stats that you would click through as they take damage. It's basically defunct, but because people have all these extra figures, you can easily buy them.
Whoa, it's like $5 for a set of 47, and they're all different. I'm looking at it right now.
Indeed. The only other thing that I would suggest that you do purchase are blank bases. So you could go to your local hobby store, which again, this is something I did over the past weekend, got some blank bases, and with basically an X-Acto knife, you can easily get the Mage Knight figures off of their bases, which are huge because they have all this additional information in them, and then glue them to normal bases, and away we go.
Wow, I'm so upset I didn't know about this before. This is awesome.
Ta-da!
You bet I'm going to bid on a bunch of these right now.
This is my only hesitancy with mentioning it on the podcast, is there's just going to be this huge bidding war now on all.
No,
on all,
wait.
It's just Celeste and I.
We're just fighting.
Okay, we'll have to communicate which ones you're trying to buy and which
Okay.
ones I'm trying to buy.
Oh,
We'll
they're
be
all
good.
so cool.
Yeah, and so I will say that they're not as nice as some of the newer stuff that is coming out from the same company. WizKids has definitely stepped their game up in terms of the quality of both painted and unpainted minis, but they work really well. There's tons and tons of different things, be it undead, mechanical, some for your characters, whatever you need, whatever you're looking for. So yeah, Mage Knight figures.
Heck yeah.
Done.
Boom.
But with that, we'll turn out the lights and head out of the gym. But before we go, I want to implore you, the listeners, to join on the forums and take part in these challenges and exercises, as well as the other amazing conversations being had.
To do that, head over to dungeonmasterblock.freeforums.net and try some DM-Nastics so your players don't ask, do you even lift?
I gotta get a pump.
That's it. It's good. It hurts. I know it does. That's it. Get it.